Jay,
Yeah.
this is not like any other Challenger that you've ever been around, is it?
This particular car?
This particular car.
No, this is not mine. This is a heavily modified car, but it's still a Challenger.
Yes, and you like Hemis, yes?
Yeah, I'm a big Hemi fan. You know, when I was growing up, well, we're about the same age. So back in
Right.
the 60s and 70s, that was the iconic car. The 70s, of course, the Hemi. I mean, nothing was like that. I've got a 66 Coronet, and I've got a 70 Hemi Challenger. So, you know, those are the cars of my youth.
What is it about these cars now that are inspirational?
Well, the interesting thing about the new one is it is so much faster than the stock Hemi Challenger of the 60s. You know, when we were kids, 0 to 60 and anything under 7 seconds was, oh my God. It was a pretty amazing a period. That being said, you drive the modern Challenger. You know, I got mine, I thought, okay, it'll be okay.
Right.
But you know, I really like it because it handles, it drives, it feels very European. You've got independent suspension, you've got four-wheel brakes. Not only is it faster than obviously the original Challenger, it actually stops and handles. I mean, it's a driver's car that feels American. You know, it's funny when friends of mine from Europe come over, they want to go for a ride in it, like English guys, because these are cars that are not available to them. And as much as we kind of poo-poo our own stuff and we think the European stuff is so exotic, they come here and they go, I mean, to them, anything over 150 horsepower is unbelievable.
Right.
And then in a
Right.
car that you would drive every day, well, that's unbelievable, you know. So you let them drive it, and they really get a kick out of it.
Well, and this car goes up against any one of a number of other cars in that sort of same genre. It's a resurgence. Was this a better time than it was in the 70s?
And I think it is a better time. It's not necessarily a better time for the car companies,
Right.
but it's a better time for the car purchaser or driver. You know, what still holds true then, I mean, when I was a kid in the mid-60s, you paid $7,000 to $8,000 for a Mercedes. It had 6 cylinders, and it had no air conditioning, and if it did, it was an add-on. Whereas you could get a Chrysler Imperial with air conditioners front and back, a 440 V8 with 375. It was real value for the money, you know. And I think that's what you get with these kind of cars. You get European handling and road holding with good old American horsepower and size. I mean, it's a big car. You know, my favorite NASCAR era is the mid-60s when you take a car off the showroom floor, modify it, and run it.
Right.
And that's what these feel like going down the road. You feel like you're in a big, high-powered NASCAR car from the 60s. You know?
And I think, too, something the Europeans can appreciate is the fit and finish now of American cars.
Yeah, it is way better. It is way better. And I think they've learned their lesson. You know, for years, American car companies got by on their reputation. The reputation in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And during the 70s and 80s, they built some pretty crummy cars, but everybody kind of went. Now you have kids, 19, 20, 25 years old. They grew up when American cars were not very good, and you've got to wean them back from the Toyotas and the Hondas. And that's going to be the key. That's going to be the trick. But, you know, with products like this, I think they'll do it.
Well, it's nice to see, especially out here tonight with all of the Challengers and the Chargers, the American cars, that people are willing to give the American cars their just due.
Yeah, I think all things being equal, people will buy American.
Well, thank you.
Hey,
for
thanks
spending
a lot.
some time. It's always a pleasure. It is.
Okay.